Welcome to the third unit of week 4. In this unit, we shall focus on the returns processing within SAP Business Bydesign. I shall take you through two types of returns, customer returns and supplier returns. Let's get started with the customer returns processing. As the name implies, customer returns deals with the return of goods by the customer. These are requests made by the customers of a company for the company to take back the products delivered because the products either fail to meet the customer's needs or they lack quality. Let's take an example. Let's say your company deals with the manufacturing and sale of bicycles. You sold a particular customer 10 bicycles via the normal sales cycle. After delivery, your customer found that some of these were faulty and now they would like to return it back to you. Customer returns process facilitates such a return from the customer. SAP Business Bydesign supports the entire customer returns management cycle from the delivery notification and the physical product return through to the payment based on the credit memo. The process consists of three major segments: initiate, initiation of returns from the customer; manage, managing and processing the goods received; and then finally settle, that is the settlement of refund or payment for the returned goods. Customer returns are supported in many processes within SAP Business Bydesign, namely order to cash, third-party order fulfillment, third-party logistics, over-the-counter sales. Each of the mentioned scenarios is either already known to you or shall be introduced to you in the upcoming units. What is interesting is that customer returns process is used in the repair processes for supporting one of the variants there. We shall also look at this on one of our units in week 4. Let's look at the overall process in detail. The process starts in the supply chain management area with the creation of customer return notification, which could be created as soon as it is known that there is a customer return expected, or even when the goods have already arrived at the company's doorstep. Based on the notification, an inbound delivery is processed, and you could do so following the task-based process or the post-goods receipt. You could also configure a quality inspection process during inbound processing to confirm if the goods are indeed damaged or not. The processing of inbound delivery initiates a customer return document on the CRM side, where you could decide whether it is necessary to initiate a refund for the goods returned via a customer credit memo. In case the company opts to send a replacement for the returned goods instead of refunds, then the replacements must be done outside the SAP Business Bydesign system. Let's quickly take a look at a demo in the system. What I have here is a sales process already completed. So I have a sales order 3078, an outbound delivery and a customer invoice already completed for it. So if you see in the items, I have one item which has been shipped out. We shall use this for the customer returns processing. You can find the customer return notification document creation to be triggered from the sales order work center or even from the inbound logistics work center. So let's say new customer return notification. As you see, you have multiple options here to choose the correct delivery that you would like to return back. In our case, we know the sales order ID, so let's put in the sales order ID. We found it, and let's move on to the next steps. On the screens, you will have a combination of mandatory and optional parameters. Let's add the mandatory information here. Let's say it's for testing. And let me add 2 quantities which were returned back to me from my customer. You see here there's also a follow-up activity which you could choose. In our case, it is auto-selected to post to own stock. You also have an option to do a repair at own service center. This option shall be explained to you in one of the following units. For now, we have to get the goods back to our own stock, and hence we will keep it to post to own stock. Moving on, let's go to the next step. So here we have 2 options. Either we finish it and then we do it via the post goods receipt, or you have an option to also finish and create warehouse request and then do the processing via the task-based process. Let's just do a finish here. Before I move on to create a post goods receipt, I would also like to tell you that an inbound delivery notification, or in this case the customer return notification, can also be created without any reference at all. So that's also possible in the system. For now, let's go on and do a post goods receipt. Okay, and here I shall just confirm the quantities that we have got back. All right, say propose quantities and save and close. So this would signify that we have now taken the goods in our stock. Okay, so the inbound delivery has been created. Let's see this returns. Returns can be found in the sales order work center, and let's see all the returns here. Okay, and I believe that is the return number 45 that we are looking at, right? So to eaches, let's open this returns and let's see. Okay, what we see here is okay, 2 eaches of the quantities have been returned back, and then here is the option where we can say whether we want to do the return with credit memo or without credit memo. For now, let's choose to do it with credit memo. So I say release with credit memo, and now if I move on to the customer invoicing part and the invoice requests, I see that there is a customer return invoice request. Let's quickly invoice this. Okay, yeah, we have all the information available here along with the price, and then just say release. So that's it. The credit memo also has been created successfully. With that, we come to the end of the demo for the customer return notification and invoicing part. Let's move back to our presentation for the next section, that is the supplier returns. This particular process of return to supplier helps the company manage returns to their vendors in case of customer returns or product quality problem, or if there is an overstock. Example, your company just got a customer returns for some inventory which was in turn sourced by one of the company's external suppliers. Now, the company would want to do a supplier returns based on this particular customer returns. Or consider the case that your company is into manufacturing and you purchase raw materials for manufacturing, and this is done from one of your external vendors or suppliers. During the purchase inbound, you find that some of these raw materials delivered to you were faulty, and now you would want to return these back to your supplier. Or it could be a simple case of overstocking which you would like to avoid, and hence when you want to return some of the inventory to your supplier. The supplier returns process in Business by Design would help fulfilling all these use cases. The entire supplier return cycle from the initiation of supplier return request to shipment to settlement is seamlessly managed in the system. The process consists of 3 phases: initiate, that is the initiation of the return to supplier request; fulfill, that is fulfillment via the outbound processing based on the return to supplier request; and then finally settlement, that is the settlement via financials. The return to supplier can be initiated from the outbound logistics processing as well as the procurement work centers. We shall see both these options during our demo. Based on the RTS, the outbound delivery is processed via tasks or without tasks, that is using post goods issue. Once the delivery processing is completed, the underlying purchase order, which was used initially to purchase the goods from the vendor, is also updated to reflect the returns. Let's take a quick look at the system demo. Okay. What I have here is a purchase order which has been created already. In the purchase order, I purchased this particular item, the cylinder of P100109, and with quantity 20. As you see here in the document flow, the inbound delivery and the supplier invoice is also created for it. Let's now take a look at how we can initiate the return to supplier. So like I said, return to supplier can be initiated from the purchase requests and orders, that is the procurement work center, or it can also be done via the outbound logistics work center. Let's see the new return to supplier. Okay, so we are looking for the product, let's say this one. Okay, and this is the PO Yeah, this is the purchase order PO that we wanted to use. So let's say we want to do it for this one. Moving over to the next side. If you see here, the site information is mandatory. If I remove it, it will give you an error message saying that the site is missing. So let's say add the site information again. We have also other options like Incoterms location, delivery priority, etc. We do not want to return the entire amount, or sorry, the quantity. So let's say we just return 3 eaches because we found only those to be faulty. You could also opt to mention the return reason, but of course that's optional again. Let's do a quick check. Looks like everything is fine. And then say next. And then finally finish. Now the return to supplier has been initiated and would now be sent to the supply chain for further processing. So in supply chain, let's look at the outbound logistics part where you can find the return to supplier proposal. So here we have the return to supplier proposals, and there we find the proposal that we created just now, right, for 3 eaches. We follow the normal process. I'll do a quick post goods issue here. Let us see. Okay, fine. I'll say propose quantities. I'll select from where. All right, it looks like this particular product doesn't exist. Yeah, it is found here. All right. And now let's release it. Once the release happens, I will also show how the purchase order is updated. So now the 367 outbound delivery is created. Let's quickly go back to the purchase order that was created initially. If I do a refresh, I think I'll have to open it once more. Let's go and quickly open the purchase order to see the updates on that. Okay, here is the purchase order. And let's open it from here. 712 was the order ID. And if I open it and go to the items and see the document flow, if you see here, this was the original inbound delivery and the supplier invoice for it, and now you also have the return to supplier and the outbound delivery information. What I also forgot to show you in the previous section of customer returns was a similar step for the sales order. So if you remember, we had done the returns for the sales order 3078. Now if we go back and look at it, do a refresh, you will see that the entire customer return process is now showing up in the document flow so that the sales order also knows it. So both the returns, customer returns as well as the supplier returns have the information of the follow-on processes which have happened. Now let's go back to our slides, our presentation for a quick wrap-up. What we saw in this unit was the handling of goods created by goods returned by customers, handling of goods that need to be returned by suppliers, and how to process customer and supplier returns in the system. With that, we come to an end of this unit 3. I'm looking forward to meet you in the next unit 4. Bye-bye.